So from volunteers to interns to legislators, we are lucky to work with environmental champions to tackle the challenges that Kasima spoke about. In 2018, one legislator stood out, Representative Gael Tarleton from the 36th Legislative District. Gail introduced and advanced legislation to create a 100% clean energy future for Washington. She continued to protect Initiative 937, the original clean energy initiative, from ongoing legislative attacks. Even to this day, 10 years later, we are still protecting that initiative. More than 10 years, 20 years. She improved energy and water efficiency in our homes and businesses, and over the years, she has pushed to protect salmon and steelhead from harmful mining practices in our rivers. So let's give a big round of applause for WCV's 2018 Legislator of the Year, Representative Gael Tarleton.
Well, good morning, Washington Conservation voters. I'm just so astonished that you're all still here because after Van Jones, I felt like going out and doorbelling. And after Kasima. We need people like that to energize us. I want to thank you all for believing that we must take on climate change. Thank you for going on offense to bring renewable energy choices to every corner of Washington state. And thank you for this honor. I am so deeply grateful to be selected as your Legislator of the Year. I never had a plan to take on the struggle to combat climate change. But my sisters and brothers have told me it was inevitable that I would go try to climb that highest mountain, that I'd see the challenge of moving beyond a fossil-fueled economy and say, I'm going to give it all I've got to win this race. We're in a different kind of race now. For the past 30 years, we've been running a marathon. Now, we must all run sprints, nonstop, for the next decade. I love the ocean. I grew up on the Atlantic coast, riding the waves, hanging out at the harbor, watching the fishing boats, in a small town called Manchester by the Sea in Massachusetts. That is why when my husband and I moved to Seattle in 1990, we chose to live on the salt waters of Shilshole Bay, right down the road from the North Pacific fishing fleet. We moved here for my husband to get a PhD at UW, but that was just an excuse. The real reason, the call of the wild salmon and steelhead. Every year, we'd leave our desk jobs at the Defense Intelligence Agency in Washington, D.C., and take 2 weeks to fly fish, hike, and explore in the Pacific Northwest. What we discovered, the magic of the Olympic rainforest, the awe of spawning salmon racing through our legs to get upriver, the mystery of the pink salmon runs every odd year in Puget Sound, and the mania of chum salmon fishing at midnight in November on Hood Canal. And so we headed west for good, leaving our jobs, our families, and our friends, and Washington, D.C. behind us. And nearly 30 years later, I am desperately trying to figure out how we move beyond fossil fuels, and how we do that without breaking the backs of the working families of our state and country and world. How we prevent more catastrophic climate events from decimating our communities. How we protect people's health with clean air, clean water, and clean food. how we save the orcas, wild fish runs, forests, rivers, and wheat fields from devastating droughts, fires, and hotter temperatures year-round. The era of climate meltdown has arrived. Now we must act, not just talk about changing the path forward, but actually taking the new path forward. I will support Washington conservation voters, our partners, and my colleagues to get a low-carbon fuel standard this year in Washington State. I will give it all I've got to get Washington State to get to a 100% clean grid by 2030. Because even if we only get to 90 to 95%, it's better than settling for 70%. And I will keep fighting to protect Initiative 937 because it is actually helping our state in every community, regardless of region, to get to clean energy solutions that support the life, health, and safety of every person in our state. And we must pass Initiative 1631 so we get a carbon fee at long last. There is so much to do. It is so hard to imagine victory. But I go to work every day with my mom's favorite saying running through my brain: Carpe diem, seize the day. We must fight every day for the rest of our lives to save the Salish Sea so that it is still home to whales, salmon, people, and tribal traditions for generations ahead of us. We must move to a way of life that does not depend on fossil fuels. So here's to all of you. Here's to our kids, our great nieces and nephews, our grandkids. Let's go win this fight for all of our futures. Thank you so much.
Let's hear it for Gail. Thank you. Your champion of clean energy. Thanks so much. We're excited to work with you come January when the legislative session starts again. So I think most of you know, since 2002, I think, WCV has joined with over 20 other environmental organizations from around the state as the Environmental Priorities Coalition. And collectively, we decide on priorities for the upcoming legislative session. So this year's legislative priorities are 100% clean energy, oil spill prevention, reducing plastic pollution, and orca emergency response. We can do this together. We can pass Initiative 1631. We can elect people who care about our future. And we can work with these leaders to pass these priorities in the upcoming session. We can't wait. I can't wait. So let's give a final push over the next 26 days. You've heard us say it many times. Now you can do it. Come knock on doors. Make some phone calls. Talk to your neighbors. That's how we make change. We have staff out in the lobby, t-shirts on, you've seen the t-shirts. Find them, sign up for a shift. I'm leading one on Sunday. Want to join in? So please, thanks so much for coming. Thanks for all of your support, and let's do this together. Thank you.